And we are live.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the January 6, 2022 Subdivision Review Committee. And I'd like to call the meeting to order. And would the secretary please call the roll and establish a quorum?
Certainly. Chair Holloway.
Here.
Member Michelini.
Here.
Member Floyd.
Present.
Member Hicks.
Present.
Member Santiago or Member Zaragoza? Okay, we both have Member Santiago or Member Zaragoza absent, and we do have a quorum.
Okay, all right. Good morning, everybody. In compliance with directives of the county, state, and centers disease control and prevention, this meeting is live streamed and closed to the public. Temporary procedures are subject to change pursuant to guidelines related to social distancing and minimizing person-to-person contact. To make a verbal comment at today's meeting, please dial 916-875-2500. Follow the prompts to be placed in a queue for the specific agenda item or off-agenda matter. When I open public comment for a specific agenda item or off-agenda item, you will be transferred from the queue into the meeting to make your verbal comments. Then written comments are always accepted. Please send your email comment to board clerk, that's one word, capital B, capital C, @saccounty.net, and your comment will be routed to the committee and filed in the record. Please speak with a handset or headset. Mute your devices when not speaking to minimize background noise. Announce your name when speaking on agenda items so we know who is speaking and the listeners will know who has the floor. When the chair calls for a motion in a second, announce your name prior to making the motion in the second, so we will have that for the record, please. And the clerk will take a voice vote and confirm the results of the vote. Subdivision Review Committee is a county hearing authority for designated and a designated advisory body for all matters relating to tentative parcel maps. The committee is comprised of senior staff from the county departments, planning, engineering, environmental management, a safety officer from either Metro Fire or Sheriff's Department, and myself, a public representative appointed by the board. In instances where an item being considered by the committee also involves a use permit, special development permit, or other type of permit, a simultaneous meeting of this committee and the zoning administrator may be convened. And the representative of planning may also act as a zoning administrator and render decisions on certain permit applications. As the hearing authorities for these items, the committee takes into consideration all county codes, the general plan, and other relevant county ordinances, resolutions, policies, and regulations applicable to its examination and review of tentative parcel maps. Decision of the committee on these matters is final unless an appeal is filed within 10 days of the decision with the clerk of the board. Appeals of committee decisions are ultimately considered by the Planning Commission. So the first thing we need to do is our guests who will be speaking, if the clerk would please administer the oath.
Certainly. Please raise your right hand and the appropriate response is I do. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give this committee is the truth, so help you God? If you do not swear, do you so affirm?
I do.
Thank you.
Do we just have one presenter? I guess we're good. Okay. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes, and we get a. Do we have any amendments or changes to the minutes? If none, then we'd appreciate a motion to approve in a second.
This is Mark. I'll do a motion to approve the action summary from December 2nd, 2021.
Second, Member Santiago.
All right. Thank you both. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? The secretary, please call a roll.
Certainly. Chair Holloway.
Aye.
Member Michelini.
Aye.
Member Santiago.
Aye.
Member Floyd.
Aye.
And Member Hicks.
Aye.
And motion passes.
And was that motion for the action summary of November 18th and October 7th?
So we have it for December 2nd, 2021.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. And let's please go to item number 2.
Item 2 is PLMP 2021-0089, 9371 Matador Way, tentative parcel map located at 9371 Matador Way, approximately 770 feet east of Mayhew Road in the Cordova community. The environmental document is exempt, and the request is a tentative parcel map and design review.
Okay. Do we have a staff report?
Yeah, hi. Thank you, guys. This is Gemma Tierney, Assistant Planner with County Planning and Environmental Review, and I'll be presenting on this item. Next
Welcome
slide,
to the
please.
Subdivision Review Committee.
Thank you. So as mentioned, the location is 9371 Matador Way in the Cordova community. And the existing site conditions are that it is developed with a single family house and then a 960 square foot detached accessory dwelling unit, and then 2 driveways connecting onto Matador Way, as you can see it in the aerial image. Next slide, please. So the zoning for this parcel and the surrounding area is RD5, and the existing land uses in all directions are single family residential. Next slide, please. Parcel viewer lists 1956 as the year built for the house, and then the ADU was created in 2017 through the conversion of a detached garage. And that the control number for the planning entitlement for that was PLNP 2016 00501. Thank you. And next slide, please. So this request today is a tentative parcel map to divide the 0.78 acre parcel into 2 parcels, and then a design review to determine compliance with the Sacramento countywide design guidelines. Next slide, please. So here is the tentative parcel map. And you can see parcel 1 contains the existing house and ADU, and that is about 0.25 acres. And then the other parcel also has frontage. They both have frontage on Matador Way, but the second parcel has the entire rear portion of the lot and the other driveway. Next slide, please. So the Cordova CPAC met on October 21st. And they recommended that the Subdivision Review Committee approve the requested entitlements. And the Design Review Advisory Committee met on October 14th, 2021, and they recommended the Subdivision Review Committee find the project in substantial compliance with the design guidelines. Next slide, please. No development is proposed at this time as part of this parcel map, and the sizes of the 2 parcels are about 0.26 acres and 0.53 acres. And so both the existing parcel and then the 2 resultant proposed parcels are larger than the majority of the parcels within 500 feet of the site. All new rear and side yard setbacks that are created by the new parcel lines remain compliant with zoning code development standards. And so there's 2 driveways, as I mentioned. So one of them is going to be proposed on the larger lot, which is otherwise undeveloped at this time. Next slide, please. So staff recommends approval and to recognize the exempt status of the request under section 15315, class 15 of the California Environmental Quality Act, to approve the tentative parcel map subject to the findings and conditions provided in attachment 2 to the staff report, and find the project in substantial compliance with the design guidelines, also subject to the findings and conditions provided in attachment 2 to the staff report. Next slide, please. So that concludes my presentation. I can answer any questions, and there are also representatives of the applicant team on the meeting. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Good report. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, this is Mark. I have a question for the applicant.
Yes.
Yeah, have you read the conditions of approval and are comfortable with them?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions of the applicant or staff? None appearing. What's the pleasure of the committee?
This is Mark,
Hello?
and I recommend we approve it. Um, that we recognize the CEQA document as exempt, recognize the attachment two is for the conditions, and the design review is guidelines are in compliance. I don't know if I said that correctly or not. I'm sorry if I didn't.
It worked for me. Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Member Santiago.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, if there's no other questions, then would the clerk please call the roll?
Certainly. Chair Holloway,
Aye.
Member Michelini,
Aye.
Member Santiago,
Aye.
Member Floyd,
Aye.
and Member Hicks.
Aye.
And motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, item number 3, please.
So for item number 3, I'm going to go ahead and read the oath for the applicant. Please raise your right hand, and the appropriate response is I do. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give this committee is the truth? So help you God. If you do not swear, do you so affirm?
I affirm.
Thank you. And item 3 is PLMP 2021-0087, Metro Air Park Lot 8 Tentative Parcel Map. It's located at west side of Metro Air Parkway, approximately 0.2 miles east of the Power Line Road and Cerna Drive intersection in the Natomas community. The environmental document is an environmental coordinator's memorandum to final environmental impact report and supplemental FEIR. The request is for a tentative parcel map and design review.
Okay. Thanks, Rochelle. This is Gemma Tierney again, and I'll be presenting on this item. Next slide, please. So as mentioned, this parcel is located on Metro Air Parkway, as you can see in the aerial image, and it is 0.2 miles east of the intersection of Power Line Road and Cerna Drive, and it is currently vacant. Next slide, please. So the zoning is SPA for the Metro Air Park Special Planning Area, and that is also the zoning for the surrounding area. And surrounding land uses to the north is the Amazon Fulfillment Center, and then there's also vacant parcels. To the east is currently vacant, to the south is currently vacant, and then to the west is the Walmart Distribution Center. Next slide, please. So there are 3 non-discretionary design reviews that are associated with this parcel, and they are for buildings that are lying on 3 of the parcels that are proposed under this parcel map. So 2 of them were approved last year, and then 1 is currently under review. I'm actually not sure if it's already been approved, but it came in this year. And they are for warehouse facilities. Next slide, please. So this request is a tentative parcel map to subdivide approximately 60.4 acres into 4 lots, and it is in District 2 of the Metro Air Park Special Planning Area. And then also a design review to determine compliance with the Sacramento County countywide design guidelines and with the Metro Air Park SBA ordinance. Next slide, please. So this is the tentative parcel map showing the 4 proposed lots. And then you can see that there are 2 building footprints shown on lot 2 and 3. And so those are the footprints of the buildings that underwent design review in 2020. And then the one that came in 2021 is for lot 4. Next slide, please. So the Natomas Community Planning Advisory Council met on September 21st, and they recommend that the subdivision review
The
committee
board's
approve.
office, we can't really hear you at the moment, or I can't hear you on my end.
To me,
We can hear you now. Thank you.
the Thomas CPAC met on September 21st, 2021, and recommends the subdivision review committee approves the requested entitlements. And then the design review advisory committee met on August 12th, 2021, and recommends the subdivision review committee find the project in substantial compliance with both the countywide design guidelines and with the Metro Air Park SPA ordinance. Next slide, please. So the lot sizes for the four proposed parcels range from about 4.76 acres to about 23.2 acres. No comments from members of the public have been received. And the project is found to be inconsistent with the general plan, zoning code, and Metro Air Park SBA ordinance. And staff finds that the proposed lot sizes are consistent with the SPA and will provide for future development on these proposed parcels. Next slide, please. So staff recommends approval of the tentative parcel map and also recommends to recognize the environmental coordinator memorandum, which is dated November 22nd, 2021. And that memorandum determines that the FEIR and FSEIR for Metro Air Park, their control numbers are listed here. So that memorandum determines that they are still adequate and appropriate for this proposed tentative parcel map. And then staff also recommends approval of the tentative parcel map to divide the 60.4 acres into 4 lots, subject to the findings and conditions provided in attachment 2 to the staff report. And finally, recommends to find the project in substantial compliance with the countywide design guidelines and the Metro Air Park SBA ordinance, also subject to findings and conditions provided in attachment 2. Next slide, please. And that concludes my presentation. And again, there are members of the applicant team on the line who can answer questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have any questions for staff? Not appearing. Do we have any questions for the applicant, or would the applicant, do they feel a need to make a presentation?
I have a question for the applicant. This is Mark again. Once again, have you read the conditions of approval and are comfortable with them?
Thank you. We have read the conditions of approval and accept them as presented here and ask for a vote and approval of this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Hey, Mark, thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate you asking that question each time. It's important we do that.
No problem.
Okay. Let's see. What's the pleasure of the committee on this project?
All right, Member Santiago, I'll make the motion. I move that we recognize the environmental coordinator memorandum dated November 22nd, 2021, and determine that the airport visibility special planning area general plan and rezone final environmental impact report as shown on page 3 of this report. Approve the tentative parcel map, attachment 3, exhibit A, subject to the findings and conditions on attachment 2. Find the project in substantial compliance with the design guideline and the Metro Air Park SPA ordinance, subject to the findings and conditions. That is my motion. Thank you.
This is Member Michelini. I second that.
All right. Thank you both. We have a motion and a second. Without further discussion, please call the roll.
Certainly. Chair Holloway,
Aye.
Member Michelini,
Aye.
Member Santiago,
Aye.
Member Floyd,
Aye.
and Member Hicks.
Aye.
And motion passes.
All right. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Okay. If you would, please call item 4.
Okay, item 4, let me go ahead and read in the oath. Please raise your right hand and the appropriate response is I do. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give this committee is the truth? So help you God. If you do not swear, do you so affirm?
I do.
Thank you. Item 4 is PLMP 2019-0062, 34th Street Tentative Parcel Map, which is continued from December 2nd, 2021. Item number 4, located at west side of 34th Street and approximately 400 feet south of U Street in the North Highlands community. The environmental document is a mitigated negative declaration. The request is for a tentative parcel map and design review.
Okay, do we have a staff report?
Good morning. This is Meredith Holsworth. I'm the project manager for this project, and I'll be providing a staff report. Just want to confirm everyone can hear me.
We can hear you. Welcome, Meredith.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you. Next slide, please. The project site is located on the west side of 34th Street, approximately 400 feet south of U Street in the North Highlands community. And the site is undeveloped and has not been previously developed. Next slide, please. The request is for a tentative parcel map to divide 10 acres into 4 lots and a design review to comply with countywide design guidelines. Next slide, please. Next slide. This is the tentative parcel map showing the future building envelopes on the proposed 4 parcels and the access via the proposed private road. The green shaded areas show the wetland areas that are to be avoided. Next slide. This is actually the wrong PowerPoint. This was from when the project was reviewed by the SRC on December 2nd. So I'm just going to go ahead and read my notes for the continued item. Sorry about the mix-up here, but I did prepare another presentation for this meeting since it was continued.
It would have been funny. It would have been funny to see how far we let you go.
I was wondering if it was going to match up eventually, but I'm just going to go ahead and read my notes for you guys since you've already seen this presentation. So as I mentioned, this project was heard at the December 2nd, 2021 SRC hearing, and at that hearing, the applicant requested a change to condition number 26 because this was the Department of Transportation's condition of approval and we didn't have a DOT rep present at the hearing. The SRC voted to continue the item to allow DOT staff the opportunity to work with the applicant and to respond to that change to the condition. So since that meeting, the applicant and DOT have worked together, and DOT has agreed to a revised condition that the applicant has indicated they are happy to agree with. As I mentioned, it's condition number 26 in attachment 2. The condition will be revised to read, prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy, install Class D public street improvements, including 16 feet of pavement rather than 18 feet of pavement, and a 6-foot wide AC path pursuant to Sacramento County improvement standards and to the satisfaction of the Department of Transportation. So with that change to conditions, staff is recommending approval and the following actions: to recognize that the environmental analysis prepared pursuant to CEQA is adequate and complete, to adopt the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, to approve the tentative parcel map, and to find the project in substantial compliance with design guidelines. So I do apologize for the mix-up on the presentation, but that concludes my staff presentation. I can take any questions, and we have the applicant on the line as well. Thank you.
Meredith,
All right.
Meredith, this is
Meredith.
This is Member Santiago. Can you reread condition 26, please?
Absolutely. Condition 26 will read, prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy, install Class D public street improvements, including 16 feet of pavement and a 6-foot wide AC path pursuant to Sacramento County improvement standards and to the satisfaction of the Department of Transportation.
Okay, so there's actually an error on that because Class D refers to a separated AC path and a Class C is attached. So the designation D means separated AC path, but you mentioned Class C.
I mentioned Class D as in Delta.
Oh, delta. Okay. So basically, the only change is to reduce the pavement width.
To reduce the pavement width from 18 to 16 feet.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Tony, this is Brian. Can you remind me what class D as in dog is? I know
Class
A,
D.
B, and C, but I didn't know D.
Yeah, D is a Class C with a road widening, but it also requires a separated AC path.
Like a bike
Not
path.
attached to the edge of pavement. So
Uh-huh.
I'm going to give you a little history about Class D. So
Okay.
Class D was created with for streets in Orangevale where there's a significant amount of foot traffic, and that's the reason for Class D. Now, Class D is a very stringent requirement, street requirement, and the reason for that is that it creates a lot of problems if there's trees along the frontage, because then there's a lot of shift if there's a transition issues if there's a change in grade, because the path has to be ADA compliant. So what you end up doing really is you'll be required to put in a lot of these transition from the shoulder onto this AC path. And if there's a ditch along the frontage, you'll have to put in possibly 2 additional culvert crossing excluded from the driveway. We don't allow people to use the driveway to get into the AC path. So because that's really a liability issue, because we're allowing people to use the driveway and there's a conflict with people using that exiting. So it's a very, very difficult to actually apply. And at the last hearing, I mentioned that this is really not an appropriate location for this type of improvements. I wanted to ask the Department of Transportation if they actually did some pedestrian traffic counts on 34th Street in order to justify the Class D. I'm not in favor of Class D, and the reason for that is very, very hard for my office to actually administer Class D on improvement plan. Thank you.
Oh, so 2 quick questions for you. Sorry to delay the meeting, but Class D, can the AC path meander?
Yes, it's basically it could be parallel to the roadway, but it's a separate path.
So you could move it around trees and things like that. Second question is it only applicable in Orangevale?
No, it's not applicable in Orangevale, but the purpose of Class D was to have it for areas like Orangevale, where there's a significant pedestrian traffic.
Got it. All right.
Hi.
Thank you very much for the tutorial. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Hi, SRC members. Can you hear me? This is Kimber.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh, sorry, someone keeps muting me. I did ask Kyle Hines. Can you still hear me? I did ask Kyle
Kimber, you're
Hines.
fine.
I can, Kimber.
Okay. It keeps showing as muted. So can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, that's weird. I did ask Kyle Hines to join from DOT, so I think he should be popping on here in a second. If you guys want to wait a little bit to ask any questions of him. Sounds like, Tony, you had a question for DOT. Hello?
Kyle, are you on yet?
Let me give him a call really quick.
Might also be on mute.
Yeah.
He might be calling in.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's one of the phone numbers or if he's joining in on the computer.
Rochelle, what's the unmute yourself from the phone again? Is it *3 or something like that?
I think it's *6.
This is almost, yeah, I think it's
Okay.
*6.
Thank you.
If it's not *6, it's *4.
Hello.
Hi, Kyle. Is that you on the line?
Yeah, I've been trying. I've
Yeah,
been trying.
that's what I figured. Okay, great.
My
Welcome,
mute button
Kyle.
doesn't do anything. Hello, and I'm not on video, so I can't see anything yet. This didn't appear on my calendar, so it didn't appear on my Skype calendar, which I use. It tells me all about my meetings that are both Skype and Zoom, and this is I didn't know this was a Blue Jeans call, so I always have trouble with Blue Jeans. But anyway, I'm here, and I heard this is about 34th Street. Hello?
We can hear you. I think Tony had a question for you. Tony, would you repeat your question for Kyle?
Yeah, so I realized that the Department of Transportation is requiring a Class D, and my office is actually opposed to this requirement. We would prefer that it remain a Class C, and the reason for that is because it's hard for us to implement a Class D when the plans come in. And one of the reasons is that in some certain cases, and you wouldn't apply for this one, but in other cases, there's a significant grade difference between the grade of the road and the grade of the property, and it's very difficult to meet the ADA requirement. As Kyle knows, there's a 5% maximum that the pad can be in. Otherwise, if it exceeds that 5%, they would have to create some ramps. And there's requirements for ramps, and when those are considered, it makes it a very difficult project to design. I'm not a supporter of Class D for this area, and one of the reasons why is that I think in order to impose Class D, you need to justify that there is pedestrian traffic. And if there isn't anything, I think the AC path becomes a throwaway improvement, and it's just a cost burden to the applicant. So my question was there a pedestrian traffic study made for this project?
So I think transportation's stance would always be to assume there's pedestrian traffic. We want to promote pedestrian traffic. There is always a chance for there to be pedestrian traffic, and if we don't make a street that's inviting for pedestrian traffic, we end up defeating ourselves in our mission. So I would think it would be the other way around. If somebody was going to justify not having a pedestrian facility, then they should justify that there's no pedestrian traffic or prove a study. But that sort of goes against our values and mission statement. So, but yeah. So in this case, I also understood. I had never heard of that. Heard of problems doing Class D because of grades behind. Of grades on site. I could see where that could happen, where you have a road that's built in a cut area. We don't have a lot of places like that, but I would think when we do, it would be a matter of providing an enhanced area for somebody to walk, maybe by cutting back the embankment somewhat. I don't know if that would be if there would be a roadside ditch in that scenario. Usually not, I wouldn't think. So maybe drainage would be conveyed with an AC dike and you'd separate a dike, or something. I think we could come up with a solution potentially to get an augmented path for pedestrians. In this particular case, I understood that there were utility poles that were potentially in conflict. If we did a Class C, we end up with more pavement that ends up a wider street section that ends up conflicting with poles, whereas when we go to Class D, that enables us to narrow the pavement a little bit by 2 feet and put the pedestrian path behind the poles. And so that's what we, in our mind, we thought it might help the situation by having Class D. When that separated path is not a road section, it's going to be a lesser pavement section, and overall be cheaper, we think. So I've been rambling. I don't know if I answered your question, but I'll continue to try to answer questions if there are any.
No, I think you answered it, Kyle. I think it's safe to say that we consider pedestrian traffic in a lot of the projects that we review. And we actually addressed that with road widening. And I also understand that the purpose of what the Class D is. And what I've found out from experience that it's very difficult for us to impose the Class D because there are certain factors that nobody looks at until plans are submitted. And to me, for you, for a street like this, when you have this random development and we impose this Class D, the likelihood of somebody actually using that is unlikely. But it's a cost burden to the applicant, and which is the reason why I don't agree with it. I don't, in this particular reason, the applicant might agree to it because that might lessen their burden by not relocating utility poles. But that's a separate discussion. I mean, if the applicant is in favor of having a Class D, I'm okay with it. I'll go ahead and approve it. I'll support it. But I still, I'm not a big supporter of the Class D improvements. And thank you for listening.
Okay. So is it, do we need to make any modification to 26? Hello, Tony?
No, I'm not proposing it. If the applicant is agreeable to 26, the way it's proposed, I'm okay with it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I think we are ready for a motion.
Ryan, you need to ask that question whether the applicant has read the conditions and if they're in favor of the conditions.
Yes. Okay. Sorry.
Unless you were waiting for Mark to
do it all the time. So,
yeah.
Unless
you were waiting for Mark to do that.
Yeah. Sorry. Hey, so I'll ask the applicant if they've read the conditions of approval and do they have any? Do they agree with them?
Good morning and Happy New Year. This is Maria Wong with Wong & Associates. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, this is Maria. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Tony raises some new issues for our office. We have not worked with this cross-section before. However, I am looking at the contours on the tentative map. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, Tony, that we can make this work with respect to the ADA compliant grade restrictions. We did have the additional concern, DOT is correct, relative to the location of existing power poles. So there's just a lot, going on. It seems like it's a simple street, but there's a lot going on at this location. So at this point in time, I'm inclined to say that we are in agreement with Class D, and we will just work through it. There are no other concerns that we have with other conditions as written.
Okay. Yeah, Maria, also the conditions is written in such a way that it's to the satisfaction of the Department of Transportation. So there's some leeway there.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, we got that answered. And let's go ahead and see what the pleasure of the committee is. Hello?
Yeah.
Mark, do you want to make the motion?
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out how to word this. So yeah, I do want to make a motion to approve the map and I guess recognize the CPAC mitigated neg deck and adopt the MMRPs subject to the findings of attachment 2 and also recognize it's in compliance with the design review guidelines. Think that covered everything?
I think so. Okay, do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that. There's changes to condition 26. So as mentioned on changes to condition 26, I will second that.
Okay. All right. We have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, please call the roll.
Certainly. Chair Holloway?
Aye.
Member McLeany?
Aye.
Member Santiago?
Aye.
Member Floyd?
Aye.
And Member Hicks?
Aye.
And motion passes.
Okay. All right. And let's see. I think we are down to item number 5. Do we have a staff update of any kind?
Chairperson Holloway, this is Alma Munoz from the Clerk of the Board's office.
Hi, Alma.
Hi. I just wanted to give everybody an update. This morning, Governor Newsom signed an executive order to allow remote conference meetings until March 31st of 2022. So we are no longer required to, I think, approve the resolutions every month to allow a 30-day extension for the teleconferencing. The teleconferencing has, the AB 361 has been extended until March 31st, 2022.
Thank you, Alma.
If you have any questions or
Thank
any of
you.
the members have any questions, you can contact me via email.
And the good news is more Zoom and blue jeans hearings. Okay. Thank you very much. Any other staff update from planning? Apparently not. Comments from the council members? None appearing.
I don't have any comments.
Any public comments?
Currently do not have public comments at the moment.
Okay, well then, with that, I will adjourn the meeting. Stay safe, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Good work today.
Thank you.